Hey, it's Nate from the Bike Company. This year we're going to be putting out a lot of content highlighting the products that we carry and why. We have a highly curated selection at Bikeco, and there's a reason behind all of that. So we want to highlight some of that. We're going to share some tips and tricks that have gone a long way to improving our riding and our experiences. And we'll just go through some random stuff just to see, kind of walk through the thought processes or things that we find interesting. And that's where today's video was supposed to be. It was going to be, ideally, a look at, I'm probably the worst at the shop with this, but a look at the quick guess of, yeah, this looks right on sag versus going and measuring it with a caliper. So on my personal bikes, I set them up when I get the bike, and I probably really look at it every 9 months or a year. And up until then, I might mess with the compression, whatever, to keep it riding. So I was interested in going out and doing a lap, seeing, okay, yeah, this is where I expect my suspension to sit at, do the drop, come back and measure it and say, oh, I was X percentage this way or that from where I thought I would be, set it, and then do the drop again. But what ended up happening, I went a couple days after a rain, and the park was open, no signs, plenty of people in the park, but the conditions just deteriorated to the point where on my climb out, on the downhill, it was all steep enough that it shed the water pretty good. On the uphill, it just started burying the bike and started cutting lines, and that's not what I'm here to do. The reality is, Southern California, we don't get a lot of rain, we don't get a lot of mud. So if you are out riding in those conditions and you're cutting into the trail, you're going to be looking at that cut for a long time. And I ride kind of the same local loops over and over. I don't want to be looking at it in May going, oh yeah, that was the day that I did X, Y, or Z, and there's the trail for 6-7 months. Well, yeah, it's just, that's not what I'm here to do. So it was one of the first times in a long time where I've decided, you know what, hey, I'm gonna bail out. This is too much. This isn't working for me. Although when the trails were good, man, they were good. That Hero dirt, no brakes, as fast as you want to go into anything and it sticks. That is fun. But because Mission Trails in particular is a valley, once you get into the lower sections, you can kind of see that the dirt changes and the water load is different, and you don't want to be destroying your local loops. That's just not what you're there for. One of the things I found really interesting, though, being that I don't ride in a ton of mud, and I'm generally fairly SoCal local, I don't run a mud guard on my bike for all those reasons. That mud was so sticky, even pushing the bike, it was grabbing rocks and driving them straight into my stanchions. Now, the issue with that, especially if you're not pushing a bike, I ended up pushing because I didn't want to cut holes in the trail. Just spread out the load a little differently. But those rocks hitting your stanchions, if you get a scratch in your stanchion, it's going to eat up the seals, and then your whole system's not going to want to work. So you're probably looking at a set of uppers. You might be able to smooth and finish it with some techniques. I'm not here to argue that if you're that guy. Back in the day there was a lot of that. The reality with modern stanchions and how little uppers cost comparatively, you're probably looking at a set of uppers, at least trying to fix that. You definitely don't want burrs eating up your seals. So if you are riding in conditions that suck a lot of rocks down or pulling a lot of debris up, probably worth running one of those mud guards. On the rear, again, I was going slow, not really a big deal, but the same thing's happening. The rocks are coming into the triangles. Now, if you're going fast, that's going to have a different level of velocity and impact. I haven't seen a rear end fail from that. I've seen them get chipped up to where they look like holy hell. So, depending on your level of acceptance on that. One time, this is years ago, but it reminded me of it the other day when I was out. We were riding Chiquito, and I shot a rock up, and it actually wedged into the linkage somewhere and locked the bike. So we were riding a pretty burly trail on, enduro level travel bikes, and all of a sudden I'm on a hardtail trying to get the thing slowed down, figuring out what's broke, why is this suddenly bouncing me everywhere. It was pretty interesting. Do you need to worry about that? Probably not. It's just it reminded me of it, and I thought I'd share it. It was kind of funny. So, again, wasn't exactly the video we were looking to cut today, but we are going to work on making sure that we get out a bunch more content for you to enjoy this year. So this was what I learned on my most recent ride, and we'll go out and we'll do this again on another lap when it cleans up and isn't so sloppy. We invite you to keep an eye out for the content on our social channels at The Bike Company. Also, you don't want to deal with the social channels and all their commercials and sponsor whatever, jump over to bikeco.com. We'll be highlighting it on the homepage, and you can get to it real quick. It's all hosted on Vimeo, so there's going to be no extra ads or whatever. And yeah, we're going to be looking to help you kind of better understand products, tips and tricks, and just random adventures. If you're in the neighborhood, we'd love to see you at the brick and mortar, The Bike Company in Lake Forest, California. Always feel free to shop online at bikeco.com.